Hello, kids. It's Jack Trash.
And it's Chris McLernon. How are you?
Good. So we have not done one of these in a couple of weeks, but we had a good reason for it.
We did.
Because you were kind of busy.
I was. So was the rest of my band and a bunch of other people too. But yes, I was busy.
You were busy. So you played the M3 festival.
I did for the first time.
Right. This is the 15th year of the M3?
It is. It is.
And the first time Cold Sweat has played it.
Yes. Yep.
And it's actually how many live gigs have you guys played in the last, I don't know, 25 years?
Oh, 5?
5. Yeah. Okay. So it's not very many.
No. One of the biggest compliments I got was from Dave Menichetti, who he said, "You guys sounded so tight." I said, "We had one rehearsal in the hotel room." And he goes, "What?" And he just started laughing. He goes, "You bastard." He's like, "Woohoo, Dave Menichetti."
Right. Always good to get a compliment from him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then Michael Sweet came over and said the same damn thing. I was like, hey, I'm just killing right now. Felt like Elvis or something.
Nice.
You guys sounded so tight. Their manager, Roy knows, Roy knows their manager, meaning Stryper's manager.
Right.
And I've known them forever, but, I just assume they don't remember me,
Right.
But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was really, because they're both those guys they're no joke. They're real good.
Right. Michael Sweet, I've always said this. I would pay money to see him sing the Phone Book.
Yeah, he's good. He is good. And Menichetti just killed it. He's 70 years old and just like, wow, just out there doing it.
Wow. So this is totally off subject just because you just brought that up. The day that we are doing this, it is Billy Squier's 74th birthday today.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Which the thing that I have been pushing for, because everybody does these tours now where they play the whole record in its entirety, is right. I want to see the Billy Squier Don't Say No tour.
Yeah, I'd kill. That would absolutely kill. I'm trying to get Cold Sweat to do the British Steel version of that. Oh. But I don't know if we're going to be able to pull that one off. But yeah, I would love to see that one. I mean, because there's so many great songs on there. And it was such a huge record.
Yes.
And he's good. I mean, he's kind of very Zeppelin, which I didn't realize at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So good. All right. Bringing it back to where yes. I wanted to go to. So while you were off in Maryland playing the show,
right.
I started to think, because I've not been on that side. I've only been on the promotion radio side of it.
Right. You're the guy who walks up with the mic at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, or at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe it'd be interesting if we played Mythbusters.
Sure.
So because I think a lot of people's what they think is that you as the player show up in a limousine.
Sure.
Walk up to the stage. Maybe look to see if there's any brown M&Ms in the bowl.
Exactly.
Go on stage, play the show, go backstage. There's all kinds of debauchery going on, and then you get whisked off in the limousine to the hotel where you then throw a TV out the window.
Exactly.
Which is not true.
No. Liability insurance will throw that one out the window. It'll go with it'll go before the TV. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start it here. I'm gonna kind of take you through an itinerary of how this whole thing went. So let's start from the very beginning and where Cold Sweat was invited to play on the show. How did that come about?
That came about because we have the same agent that had a couple other acts on the bill, and he's asked us before, and it just hasn't been feasible for whatever reason. So this time, I'm always up for any gig. Let's go.
Right.
And this was unanimous. Everyone wanted to go, okay, let's go, let's do it, and off we went. So it was a matter of once we kind of adhered to the thought that we have the gig, we're going to do it. Okay, now what do we do? So then becomes a matter of logistics and planning and phone calls and silly arguments over nothing, right. Which thankfully in the Cold Sweat are mostly silly, right. And over nothing.
So you're in South Carolina.
Yes.
Roy's in North Carolina.
Yep. South of Roy's again.
Mark's in LA.
Yes.
And Eric is in LA.
Yes.
And Ant is he in LA?
Vegas.
He's in Vegas. Okay, yes. So this is not like This is not like you all just, okay, let's just meet and share an Uber to the airport. You're all coming in from different
Right. Yeah.
places. I think this is interesting. Does the promoter pay for those plane tickets?
Yes, there are certain costs that are covered by the promoter. Typically, I mean, some are more generous than others, or some are more. I think with status comes a little bit of a recompensation.
Sure.
But yeah, flights. So we had to coordinate all our flights. So we paid ourselves back out of the fee. And we made sure that all the other things were covered as well, because we're traveling with guitars and stuff, so that's baggage fees.
Right.
Luckily, I went on Southwest, so I don't have any. Yahoo!
Yeah.
So I get the cattle card. The one thing you get is a cattle card. They shove you in one way, but then I didn't have to pay for any bags, which is cool because a bass guitar is not light.
No.
And they like to whack you on that price. So.
Sure.
Yeah, so we had to coordinate all 5 of us to arrive and get in the same spot. And we arrived on Friday, which is one of Ant's other bands was playing, Generation Landslide. So we were allowed to get there and then get to the gig.
Oh, okay.
Get to his gig before we got to our gig.
Right.
So
Generation
sorry?
Was Generation Landslide at the M3 festival?
No, they were pre-show gig parties, like welcome parties kind of thing. 3 or 4 of them going on, and they were playing one of them. Yeah.
Okay. So you fly in on Friday,
right?
You go from the airport to where?
Hotel.
Okay. So and all the band is at the same hotel?
No, because right here we go.
Here we go.
Because our hotels are paid for Saturday and Sunday, right, by the promoter.
Okay.
So we have to, if you're coming in early, you got to come in and find your own hotel for the first night, which I did.
Gotcha.
So, but we were at different ones. Mark and I think Eric, they flew out together with their significant others, and so they were all in one hotel. Ant had driven in, I think, for part of the way, not from Vegas. He flew in. He flew. He had to pick some of the guys up in Generation Landslide or something.
Okay.
So he got there before all of us, and he was in a different hotel. So then once that was done, it was Saturday. Now the trick is, okay, we got to get to the band hotel for one, get everybody there. We got to get a rehearsal in at some point because we can't do it Sunday morning. Well, we shouldn't do it Sunday morning. It's a little late in the game for that. So we've got to figure out that we got to get to the hotels and or get out of the old ones into the new ones, round everybody up. Aaron Fisher, who is the label liaison, he and I went down to M3 early, is when they opened at 9 on Saturday, so we could make sure our CDs were at the merch table, and we just got kind of lay of the land and that sort of stuff. But yeah, so Friday was a matter of getting there, kind of collecting ourselves in the hotels, figuring out where everybody was, and go.
Okay, so Saturday, you get to the band hotel.
Yes.
How many hotel rooms were there for Cold Sweat?
For us, there were 5 because there would have been all significant others. And I think it was because Aaron stayed at the hotel that we had initially. He just stayed there. It was just up the road.
Right. So
just 5 rooms for us.
Okay. So the promoter pays for a hotel room for everybody. I was just wondering if you had a bunk with somebody.
Yeah, as I've said, my days of that are over. No dice. No offense to anybody else, but you know what? I'm not bunking.
Right. Okay.
This I have earned.
Right. Okay. So where and when was this rehearsrsal?
This rehearsal was in Eric's room because he was able to check in first on the 6th floor of the fantastic hotel we stayed at. It was like something like the what is it? Something Bon Voyage Marriott, something Lake House or something. It's just amazing hotel. So we all went down to his room and we got some silly pictures and stuff. And Eric likes to play standing up because he plays now he's playing a White Jackson V, a Rainy Road style.
Right.
And they're not easy to sit down with. So he stood up and played.
Okay.
So and then Ed is just tapping on the on the bed or magazine with just sticks. That's just that was our drum set.
Oh wow! Oh wow! So I would think that you would have to clear something like that with the hotel before you do it.
No, because you couldn't hear us.
Oh.
I mean, we were, you would have heard this, would have been about as loud as. So I can talk over that easily.
Right.
But yeah, Ant was gonna bring a little like headphone thing. We'd all plug in, kind of nice stereo and all that, and he forgot. So because about halfway through, I'm like, "Where's that thing we're supposed to be using?" Oh, I forgot it. Yeah. But one of the songs we had to make sure we went over was "Rain Down," which is the single off of "Unburied Alive."
Right, which you'd not played live before.
No,
right.
Nope, we had not. So I was like, and of course, the first thing in that song is the bass. Other than the intro, the first real big solo moment. Dun 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 dun. Right. Stealing from Thin Lizzy. I'm right in front of a lot of people, so Right. But yeah, it was interesting. And then we also went over. There's one Mark wanted to go over because he wanted to really get it, and I think it was Killing Floor because there was some break that Ant kind of does in the right spot and kind of does when he feels like it. So we had to nail that down.
Gotcha. So who and how is the set list determined?
The set list is determined by the time. Okay. That is your time limit. So we were given 40 minutes. Now there's a caveat here, but we didn't know at the time. So we set it up, and the great thing now about stuff like iTunes, you just stack it in iTunes and see exactly how much time we got, right? So to tell you 8 songs is 37 minutes or whatever. Right. So we always give Mr. Cathy plenty of time to talk because he does so. Yes. That's why we call him the Mouth of the South. Right. And so we had it down really tight, and I was trying to come up with other ideas like, well, what if we open with this or what if we open with that, just to mix it up, because if people have seen us over the last couple of years, okay, here they come, they open Four on the Floor into Love Struck. Okay, great, nice, thanks, boys. Glad you put a lot of thought into this.
Yes.
So there's a bit of a kerfuffle between Mark and I, and not a bad one, but he was like, and this is what we did, and I agree with him. Once I saw what he was talking about, he's like, let's just go out and do it how we do it, because there's going to be a lot of new fans there, and let's just not go crazy. Because I was like, well, we can open with Riviera, and we can plow it a long way down, and then do the single, and then And he said, no, can we just do it this way? I was like, all right, cool. I see what you mean. Great, we can do that for the cruise, because we have 3 sets on that coming up.
Right. Yeah, there was Eric Martin once told me that forever he was trying to get the set list, the beginning of the set list changed, and Billy Sheehan was like, no, we open with Daddy, Brother, Lover, Little Boy.
Right, yeah. Yeah. And there's like Judas Priest opened with Exciter for years, Kiss with Deuce, Van Halen with On Fire or Romeo Delight. I mean, it was just, they work for a reason. I mean, that Four on the Floor's got that great drum intro, so that gets your attention right away. So it's kind of like, okay, well, what's going on?
Right.
And then Mr. Cathy comes out, screaming, yelling.
Yeah, that's what Eric told me. He says, anytime I walk into a dark room and the light goes on, I go, I'm a red hot firecracker.
Yeah, see?
Oh yeah, I'm not on stage.
Yeah, it's very Pavlovian. I had that problem with Aerosmith's Sweet Emotion, because when we were out with Extreme, that was the last song before the Kabuki came down, right? So I'd be sitting backstage teasing Gary or something, trying to make him laugh before it goes on, and so the rest of the band, and all of a sudden you're boom, dee, dee, dee. You start hearing the bass riff, and okay, gotta go. They're tour manager coming, rip them away from us, and going, Gary, come on, we gotta be on stage. That's my Bob Dallas imitation for anybody who knows him. But that was still. I was at the gym yesterday, and it came on. I was like, oh, I'm at the gym. Yeah. Calm down. But you do that a couple hundred times,
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all.
You've wrapped that CNS real tight with it. Yeah.
Okay, so we got the set list down.
Right.
You had an early time.
We did. We had there's a band called Sun Something, and then Pretty Boy Floyd, then us, and so we had like 2:00 time, which is kind of weird because you want the crowd to be there, but this is where I've learned in my life, just don't worry about stuff, and here's why. Weather on Saturday was the fucking worst. It was 50 degrees and raining, and just like remember in LA how it'll get like in the winter and you just get that, it's bone chilling cold, but it's only 50 degrees outside. Yeah. It was like that. Yeah. I'm saying, Eric, dude, if we got to play in this shit, my hands are they're gonna be like bratwurst. There's no way. Well, turns out the Sun City Devils are get canceled. So everyone got backed up a half an hour. So now we have to go on the social media and tell everyone we're coming in, on at 1:55 as opposed to 2:30.
Right.
Benefit is we get 10 more minutes.
There we go.
So we were able to do the full versions of the Foghat song. I just want to make love to you, because we got a whole midsection there with the crowd and stuff, and it adds a good minute and a half. And same with Killing Floor. There's a breakdown in Killing Floor, and typically Roy will introduce the band there.
Right. Gotcha.
So we were able to cruise through the set and jack the crowd up a little more. And we literally, I love promoters and production people who have their shit together, because there was a gig clock, right? Like this, big red numbers, right? You couldn't miss it. You were looking right at it, and it starts, boom, countdown begins the second you walk on.
Nice.
So you know exactly how much time you get. Come on. So Ant was watching it, and he's like, okay, we're coming up on the Foghat song, 30, 29. He's like, we're going to kill this. Right, dead stop on 0. And it was cool.
Oh, perfect. There you go. There's something that that I didn't know that bands had on stage, or promoters put on stage. I did not know that.
Yeah, we had.
I wondered, how did they know that their set was running on time?
Right. And I had told Eric, I was like, look, man, it's very possible, because I've done these things. Everyone's going to run long, and we're going to have our set cut. And it didn't happen. Thankfully, it was a rarity.
Right.
But in Saigon Kick, we were playing Wave Fest or something with Warren. And our guitar tech misread the time clock for the gig clock, misread the time. And he said, so we used to, in those radio shows, we played Love's on the Way because it was a hit. And we played Hostile Youth. And the guys in Warren were big Saigon fans. I knew them from, LA days. Sure. So they were dying to hear Hostile. So we finished. Spidey goes, as our guitar tech goes, we got to go. We got one left. I go, okay, well, we play the hit. So we play the hit and we're gone. And the guys in Warren are waiting to go on. They come, dude, what happened to Hostile? So it can backfire. You can have someone. So you should have a second. That taught me you should have a second set of eyes on that thing. Yeah. Just in case.
Right. Okay, so show goes off. By the way, I have not read a single negative word about the show.
Yes,
I mean, honestly, I've not seen anybody who said. I think the worst thing I've heard somebody say was Cold Sweat. Who are they?
Which we welcome to every night on the Dio tour.
Right. So obviously it went very well. I've seen, the videos I've seen, everything seemed to go really well.
It did. I mean, we all know where our own mistakes were, and you'll see me at one point. I make a mistake if you watch a video, and I point at Eric like, "Hey, that was you," Right. So why not? It's old showbiz trick. Right. But we were blown away, but I guess we should be, because we really want to be good. Yeah. We were well rehearsed. The only thing I told the guys was I want to have now vocal rehearsals and vocal warm-ups, like how the Eagles do,
Yeah, sure.
Because our sound is so dependent upon the backup vocals, and I couldn't hear myself. And then it went out my voice went out in the second song, came back at the end.
Right.
But I had people saying, "Oh, they're playing the tracks." I'm like, "No, we're not." So that's one thing I want to really just drive home, is like, we don't play the tracks, ha ha. It's called singing and practicing and rehearsing and talent.
Right. And that's gotta be just frustrating, that for you, like Def Leppard's getting it now all the time. You guys are singing the track. They don't. That's them singing.
Right. Well, they got 5 guys who can, right? So they use it.
5 guys who can. You guys are 5 guys that can sing.
Yep.
And for people to just go, well, it sounds good, it must be tracks.
Right. Yeah. And now it's so you're clearly, it's like in the old days with hair extensions. We had long hair in LA. They figured you had hair extensions. Like, no, now they assume you do. You have them, right? I mean, I don't obviously now, but like with women especially,
right?
Women are getting like, oh, well, she's obviously had hair extensions. Everybody wears them now, and it's okay,
right?
As I like to point out, the thing that it's either Rob or I forget the guy Milli Vanilli who killed himself. Mm-hmm. Over an issue that is now industry standard.
Yes.
Right. That's a little horrifying when you think of those consequences. But,
right.
But yeah, it's luckily people have sent me stuff and I've looked at it, and everyone who has either written or taken photos or just been there or met us Because as soon as we're done, we're out in the crowd, we're talking to people.
Right.
And it's really cool because there was this woman who's a teacher now in New York, and she met us outside the Ritz in 1990. We were open for a deal, and she had pictures of me and her from that visit, and sent them to me. I was like, "This is fantastic,"
Yeah.
and it's just so fun to see these people grow up, because you think you're just going to play like an hour of rock and roll, and you're not.
Right.
If someone's like gone to that much trouble to save a moment in time and then share it with you again, it's just, you can't beat that. That's
No.
amazing. I
Yeah.
can't think of many other jobs where you can do that.
No. And not be considered really weird.
Yeah, true. Well
That
said.
time you did my taxes in 1990. Well, here's the picture.
Right, here's the picture of it. By the way, you still owe $500 to
Right.
the government. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so the set's over.
All right.
You had to.
Well, here, wait. Let me back up one. Let's back up to Saturday. Is before the gig. So Aaron and I go in there. We find the merch guy, and we throw up 50 CDs, sell all of them, which is cool. We didn't have a shirt because I didn't get to our vendors in time, and you just kind of but it's festival season. They were all busy. No one could make the time. But anyway,
Right.
So Aaron and I are wandering around and just kind of saying, okay, where's the load-in? M3 has this killer stage. It's a turntable. So facing one way is the band that's playing, and facing, then there's a divvy curtain, and on the other side is the other band's backline.
Right.
So when the set is over, it just turns, and then you have, as opposed to dragging it all out there and someone hurting themselves or whatever. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we got the where we loaded in our gear. We got where our dressing rooms were. We figured this all out on Saturday.
Right.
Just we're kind of, we're our own tour manager. So Aaron and I come back, okay, do this, go here, this, that. We're gonna have chords, we're gonna have extra this, we're gonna have everyone, all the kind of dumb things we figured out in about an hour. And then we just kind of hung out in catering because the event had its shit together so well. We were done soon. So I was like, all right, well, let's hang out to about 1 or whatever, and go back to the hotel and get the rehearsal going. Right. It was great. Couldn't believe it. So that was the best part about Saturday, because I was definitely concerned that Saturday would be one big clusterfuck.
Right.
And that because all these bands are showing up, and now granted they're all pros, but they're all showing up all at once with the way they do things, used to doing it their way.
Right.
How's it going to go with the guys at M3, the guys and gals at M3? That's what I'm seeing also a lot more now in the business. A lot more women in the back line of the production end of things, which is cool. Yeah. So Aaron and I figured that all out and just went back to the hotel. Just like, as soon as I got in the car to go back, I was like, this is going to go killer, because it's so organized. So when that many things are organized, even if something big goes wrong, it's so easy to suss out, because it's the only thing that went wrong.
Right. Yeah.
So, God, I couldn't have been happier. They're fantastic. But anyway.
Nice to have your first one at the 15th.
Yeah.
They've got all the bugs worked out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I've definitely played ones where it was their first or second. You're like, oh God, now what? Or you show up in Chicago, and some guy's like, yeah, this is my first show I've ever promoted. You're like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so go ahead. Sorry.
All right, so we're off. So we're off stage now on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
Where does the band go immediately?
Typically to the dressing room, and this is a part of the post-mortem meeting we had with the band. I don't like, and this sounds so diva-ish, but I don't like anyone in the dressing room except the band for at least a half hour before we go on and a half hour when we come off. It's like I think I was one of the last people off stage getting my stuff and whatever, and getting back to the dressing room, and I open the door and there are 15 people in there, and it's an okay dressing room if you're like, there's 4 or 5 of you. Sure. Triple that. And I mean, they're excited. They're the band friends, they're the people, the promoters, they're the people with the back line, whatever, girlfriends and wives. So sometimes they know each other. Hey, ladies. But it was, I was just like, because it takes, I mean, this might sound esoteric, but it definitely takes a level of focus and getting into character to go play a rock show. It just does.
Yeah.
And for those who have done it, they get it, because my wife calls it game face. I'm ready to go. I'm not, don't talk to me, but it's definitely, there's a different level of concentration because you want to go and be good. I heard Jack Benny say, if I don't get butterflies at all, it's not going to be a good show. I have to be a little bit. So coming off, your mind it's like running a race or whatever. You're coming off and you're just, okay, across the finish line. Okay, who's where? What happened? Did we have a major fuck up? Did we not? Did it go really well? Did it not? And then you just kind of mellow out. But when you come back and there's 15 people in there, you're just like, well, I guess the party is starting. So Roy Cathy, who also was with me on this one, and we've now ensconced it in as a rule, if I think that's a word. It is so we will now do this for our own benefit, because Roy Cathy was so, I mean, he's putting out the most energy. So he had to go find another room and lie down for 20 minutes. So, and like I said, if you've done it, you get it. I'm sure you perform in a professional sport the same way.
Right.
And M3 was a pretty big crowd, but it wasn't like crazy big, like it wasn't like the end of the day where Dee Snider and Bret Michaels went on. So everyone was there for them. I'd say we probably had 70% of it. So that's a lot. But like when the crowds are big, or it's really intense in a club and it's not a lot of people, but they're really into it, it does something to your brain. So you got to calm down. And that was the first thing I noticed. It was just like, okay, I'm wearing a leather jacket. I'm sweating. I'm wearing a hat. My hat is now warm. Where do I put my bass? And it's 4-pound strap. Are my shoes untied? There's all these things you're waiting to fix.
Right.
And so that's the first thing you do is you go back to the dressing room. Number one.
So yeah, I would think that's got to be, the reason that the press is not allowed in a locker room immediately after a game is not because these guys want to take a shower. I'm sure they do, but it's for the decompression of it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Remember a couple of years ago when I forget her name, interviewed Richard Sherman right after the game, and he plucked down an interception and just took off. Yeah. That's what that mindset is like. And remember, she was just kind of like giggling because she's obviously seen it. But all of America was like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with him? He's a maniac." It's like, no. That's what it's like. That's how that energy, you feed off that energy. It just makes you into a live wire. You're just it's like when a power line falls on the ground, you're just going, you're just spitting electricity everywhere.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. I mean, there should be. If there's not, I watch a lot of hockey, and the playoffs are going on. And then you have those sideline reporters, and they're talking to the coaches in the middle of the game.
Right.
It's like, I don't need that. That brings nothing to me to hear the guys who's obviously like, why am I having to do this? And I can't say anything because I need to, it's how are you gonna, get more possession time? Well, we got to win the puck battles on the wall. What they're going to say.
Right.
It may not be anything what they're actually thinking, but I don't need to know. I don't need to be that close to it.
Right. And you don't want to be the coach and give it away.
Right. Exactly.
That's why I like Belichick so much. He was just so blunt, like, God, this is bullshit. I know I got to deal with it, but oh well.
Right.
I can't stand sideline reporting in anything.
Right.
It's like, I don't care. It's going to be so bland and not useful information. Whatever.
Right. Exactly.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Okay, so the party has started in the dressing room.
Right.
Roy's taking a nap.
Right.
So, what was the rest of the day like? I mean, you go out. You said you go out and you meet fans. Did you guys go to like a merch place where people could come up and get their CDs they bought signed, or were you just like, I'm out there?
We did a number of things. We did some press, so we did some radio, did some shows, like some video shows, because we haven't been out there for a long time, and people were like, well, first of all, like I don't think they really cared until we played. They were like, who the heck is that? We actually went over how we planned to go over. So there's a lot of work there. Again, which is one of those things that's a little difficult to do after a show because you're still kind of in post gig mode and you're being asked, well, how's this album different than all the others? One of those are just like, oh boy. Or we actually have one who said, "Is there anything you guys don't want to talk about?" Which I thought was cool. I was like, yeah. So I named a couple of things that I don't want to talk about this. So and we didn't. But so after that, everyone you can shower. I mean, at M3, I was like, I'm gonna change shirts. I'll just get the sweaty shirt and tie off and just throw a clean shirt on, just put the leather jacket back on because it's not like a leather jacket's got to soak up sweat.
Right.
So threw on my hat and then went out to actually it was me, Eric, Mark. No, it was Mark, Roy, and I, and then we dragged Ant into one, and then I think I did one by myself, and I think Mark did a couple by himself, and so we got all that out of the way, and then it was like, okay, do we want to eat? Because I hadn't eaten yet. It's not a gig thing, but it's a me thing, right. And I think Roy's the same way. I don't eat before the gig, and I don't eat after the gig, and I think it comes from sports in my life because I don't feel like having a full stomach. First of all, you don't want to try to be singing with a full stomach. Mm-mm. And then afterwards, when I was running half marathons, the last thing I wanted to do was eat. I knew I was hungry, but I didn't want to eat. So I have to wait about an hour and a half, and all of a sudden, ravenous hunger appears.
Right.
It's unbelievable. So
does for a 2:00 show? Okay, that's fine. But right. How long before? What's the cutoff if you're playing? What you're playing at 9:00 at night? What's the cutoff?
There's always venue curfew, and then you got to get.
I mean, for you eating.
Oh, it all depends on the catering schedule.
Okay, so if the catering's there at 7:00,
right?
Are you eating? If you're going on at 9?
Me, no. Nope.
No, okay, that's what I was trying to get at.
Nope.
Like what's the how many hours before?
I'd say at least 2 before and at least an hour 90 minutes after.
Okay.
And they were closing it down when it was not going to be open when we first came back from the gig anyway. So I was okay, but everyone else wanted to eat. So that was one of the other things that was backstage, just food trays and stuff just everywhere.
Right.
I'm just like, what's a diner too? What are we doing here? But so we had gone to the merch booth just to see how it did. And we'd sold out of CDs, as I mentioned. So I figured, well, where's the next place we can go to? How about the bar? We'll find out where they're serving beer and alcohol. And we walk. We also did a meet and greet with the fans too. And we had to cram that in between a sound check on the show. And we're like, we're never going to make this. But proven wrong again. The folks at M3 had that shit down.
Nice.
So we had a nice long line, signed a bunch of stuff, signed a bunch of Cold Sweat, signed a bunch of Saigon stuff. Mark signed a bunch of Keel stuff. And Ant had some excursion things that popped up, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And because I forgot about that, we had a meet and greet. And then so I went back because I have pretty good memory for faces. I'm horrible with names, but I remember the face. And I went back and just kind of hung around the bar, the beer garden or whatever, and just looked for people I knew who came to the meet and greet or whatever. And then there's people coming up out of nowhere and just saying, hi, how you doing, whatever.
Right.
So that was until I did that all the way through Y&T, because I think Y&T was after Faster Pussycat. So it was us, Pussycat, and then I think Y&T, then Striper, and then Night Ranger, and then Brett and D.
Right.
So I saw D coming off the shuttle from the hotel, and I hadn't seen him in forever. And I was like, he is so perfect example. He was just so in gig mode, just like I could have been fucking John Wilkes Booth and he wouldn't known who I was. Right. I was like, hey man, nice to see you, blah, blah, Chris. And he goes, hey, he's gone. Just stock reply number 3 or 4, and off he went. I was like, fuck, that's too bad. Because I wanted to talk to him, but oh well.
Yeah. Well, like
I know, I understand.
You get it. Yeah. And now we all get it.
Right. Well, because sometimes people are like, well, that guy was just kind of so rude after the gig, and you don't know what happened. I remember one guy, we were out, and this was Saigon, and he was trying to educate me on what was going on. I actually raised my voice, and Verone and Bila are like, uh-oh, what's going on over there? because that just doesn't happen.
Right.
And he had just gotten on my nerves. This is right after a gig, and actually it was before the gig. And then we did the gig, and I saw him afterwards, and he was all scared or whatever. And I said, "Dude, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to snap at you, but A, we're trying to get ready to go on. It's a different mindset, and B, I was there, so you correcting me on what happened doesn't work well. It's like me walking into your marriage and saying, well, this is what happened, obviously, right? That's what I heard. Doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
But yeah, it's I actually, and I have friends that now who are out running around and touring, and I'm always, you guys need any time after the gig? Guaranteed they'll say, yeah, give us a half an hour.
Right. Yeah.
Guaranteed. Some are longer.
Yeah, for sure.
Around the beer garden and just getting approached by just everybody.
Right.
Which I love. I mean, I know people who don't, and it's not because they feel like they're above anybody else, but they're just not social beings. They just have a social anxiety. They just don't like it.
Right.
I do.
And there's also the your other band trying to create the mystique.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. So, I mean, which I get.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see Ed Van Halen wandering around in the crowd, but I do know that on their first tour, which is what Cold Sweat was. It was always my first tour. It always was just one record, one tour.
Right.
I know Roth was out in the crowd in Madison. They played a gig. It's the famous Shuffle-In gig, where they trashed the Madison and Sheraton afterwards. Even thanked in Van Halen 2.
Right.
So they knew the importance of getting out, meeting and greeting.
Yeah.
Now it's de rigueur of a gig. I mean, you can buy your spot to meet the person.
Right.
But my point is, we're out here, we're having fun. You guys pay a lot of money to come here. Least I can do is say hi, for nothing, and sign anything you have. And people like to buy you drinks.
Right.
I can only handle so many.
Right.
So I don't want to be like 2 or 3. It's really great to see you. Blah, pardon me. No, I don't get that bad, but I'm not that cheap of a date. But but
old sweat puke on my boots.
Exactly. But here's where this stuff kind of pops out. And Eric Gamma's sister, Chris, was there,
right.
Who I hadn't seen in forever. I didn't know she was going to be there, but if I hadn't gone out and about and mingled with the crowd, I wouldn't have seen her.
Oh wow!
So
she couldn't get a pass.
Well, it turns out he had like 5 family members, and no, you were given a pair of tickets and you get your artist pass.
Right.
Which one of the other bands was selling their artist pass for $650 a piece, which is really uncool when you think of it just from a security aspect.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. So there are people wandering around backstage, full run of the joint, who would purchase their pass.
Wow.
Not cool.
Not. Oh. Okay. That makes so little sense in so many different ways.
Yep.
I mean, if you're buying a pass from a band, you kind of want to see the band, but you've got their own, so they can't even get back there.
Right. Well, that's what my thought was like. Oh, okay. I know how many passes we were allocated. So was this a matter of, well, you're a hired gun, so you give me your pass? I don't know.
Right. Wow.
Right. So, but with the folks I knew that I didn't know they were going to be there, which sounds strange, but follow me. It was apparently I've got a helicopter landing on my house.
All right.
What the hell? So, can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, it's 2 of them. Huh. Oh, well. That's the one advantage of Charleston. It's an Air Force base. So when we start seeing all the big C9s and C17s flying out of here, something's going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really uncool. I won't mention the band. I'm sure if you Google it, you can find it real quick.
Right.
Story. Like I said, I like being surprised too by people, who just, again, look, we took this picture together 30 years ago,
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Or have followed your whole career because, you just kind of go, well, I thought it was just playing a bass,
Yeah.
And you are doing more than that. It's cool.
Yeah. So we had spoke before you went up there, and you said that it kind of felt as if this was an audition for the band.
Yes.
So because there's so many of these different little packages now that run out, like in this little town of Sarasota, in 2 weeks we've got Pretty Boy Floyd,
Right.
we've got Enough's Enough and Trickster all coming through.
Okay.
And obviously that's a little, I mean, it's not like the old days where you go out on a 4-month tour or something like that, but I'm sure, they're playing a few dates if they're all together.
Oh yeah.
So, have you heard anything? Do you get the sense that, somebody else is going to say, come on, let's go do 5-10 shows?
Yeah. Yes. Well, we've been talking to our agent about that too. But the great stuff that came out of this is that Roy Cathy, of course, blew the roof off the joint.
Yeah.
And he's had some big, and I think you and I talked about him. He's had some big opportunities all of a sudden just land in his lap because he was there.
Yeah.
And I'm going, yeah, it's about time.
Right.
So that was really cool. I was just like, wow. It was an audition for the band and we did really well. We were the talk of the second day. That's for sure.
Yeah.
One guy, this friend of Mark's, and this is also kind of, I don't mean to hijack it into a maudlin thread, but Mark brought a friend of his down named Bobby Petrillo. Bobby has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and he's one of what they call the 3%. He's been alive for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So Bobby was down there. And so, you just kind of go, wow, this is, things can always be a little different in your life, so just be glad what you got. And I'm in my case, I get to play 40 minutes and now 50 minutes of rock.
Right.
But we were out there and Bobby sent me this thing. Some guy wrote on, I think, an M3 Rocker's Facebook page or something. He said, Cold Sweat just wiped out all of the bands on day 1.
Wow.
Wow. Holy crap. And like I said, Roy was just kind of, Chris Caffrey was there, and he's a guitar player and Sabotage and TSO.
Right.
And a billion other things. And so that was a homecoming of sorts, because our first tour as Cold Sweat was opening for Sabotage on the Gutter LA tour.
Oh, wow.
And so we always got along really well with those guys, and they're just, a fun bunch. And it was just great to see Chris, who I'm guessing has not aged a day.
Yeah.
In 30 years. But he heard Roy Cathy and he was like, good God, he sounds like he did 35 years ago. And he knows because he was there every night. He saw him.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Yep. So it was fun to run into people like that too. Just to, old comrades. And everyone is now, I think, when you get to this point in your career, the good people know the good people. Yeah. And if you like somebody, you probably want to work with them, because who wants to work with an asshole?
Right. Exactly.
Right? I don't care how, and nobody does. I don't care how talented you are. It's just, I can count the assholes on one hand, and the other ones are just like, God, he's just such a great guy, or gal. Like, there's a guy named John Swanson who plays bass for Anthony's Way for Generation Landslide. I'd never met him.
Right.
We hit it off right away. Couldn't have been nicer. So I was like, okay, well, gladly keep your eye out for someone like that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no.
Once you answer this, man, I'm probably gonna find him a gig, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, I need that guy."
Right.
Sorry, Aunt.
So I was, where was I? Oh, I must have been on the air on Sunday. That Sunday.
Yeah.
And my text goes off, and it's you saying, "Well, when I woke up this morning, I didn't think I was going to get this picture, and it was you and Pat Sajak."
Yes. Yeah. What do you think about that? Because you see this ruckus going on, all this craziness, and we were in catering, eating dinner, me and Roy and his girlfriend Connie, and we're sitting there going, what's going on out there? Because you don't see it. And someone said, it's Pat Sajak. And of course you're like, yeah, right. Whatever. We're in Baltimore at M3. Why would Pat Sajak be here?
Right.
Well, he's a Night Ranger fan. That's why.
Yeah, I saw the Night Ranger pass he had on.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, my wife will never believe this. So I did the same thing I did to her and did to you, just drop the photo on, didn't tell, so I'm like, look, I met Alex Trebek is what I sent the band. And then Gavin's totally took the bait. He's like, don't tell me you called him Alex Trebek. Come on, dude. But yeah, Pat Sajak. And the funny thing, I was ready to I ran into this friend of mine who's a photographer named Kara. And we were going to get pictures because we got it from the Monster of the Rock stuff. And she came up to, can you get a picture of me with Pat Sajak? I'm like, if you get a picture of me with Pat Sajak, yes. Yeah. So he had a picture with a little kid and hanging out in he couldn't have been more gracious. I mean, he's a pro, he's been in this business a long time for a reason.
Yes. So
I took Kara's picture, he took mine, and and then all of a sudden I had Pat Sajak. I was like, wow, man, that's I just met Dee Snider for the first time in a long time, but I've never met Pat Sajak.
Right. Yeah. I wish, if I only had the clairvoyance to know that you were going to do that, because I have a question for Pat Sajak.
Oh, did you? What is
it? Sajak is happening to watch or listen to this. This is my question for you.
Has
Leonard Skinner ever been a puzzle? Because wow. I just want to see all those old ladies just saying, I'd like to buy an A, I'd like to buy an E. No vowels.
That's right. Actually, that'd be a band from Madison in the 80s, Sometimes Why.
Yeah, there you go.
So AIU, Sometimes Why. So that would be a great one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I always thought that would be like really cool to turn on.
Yeah, he'd probably enjoy that too.
Yeah.
He just seemed like just the mellowest dude. And I'm just like, wow, pretty good gig. I'm sure he was thinking the same thing. I'm going to come, telling whoever significant others, hey, I'm going to go in. I'm going to watch Night Ranger and leave and whatever. It'll be fine. He's getting mobbed.
Yeah.
Completely. There was a crowd of 25 people following him like a bait ball with fish, It was like
exactly. Little kids playing soccer.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's fun. That's awesome. All right. So
that's what I love about gigs like that, because there's something crazy that comes out of those gigs always.
Yeah, for sure.
End of to wrap it up, I guess we all got back to the hotel. I went back to the hotel, and none of the band came with me. And I'm like, so I'm sitting there like I look like Dean Martin in the hotel bar, by myself.
Right.
Meanwhile, Dave Minichetti and his wife are over in the corner. And I recognize them, so I make a beeline,
right,
and just start talking to Dave. And then the rest of his band came in and all that. And that's when Michael Sweet came in and everybody. But yeah, I sat there for like 2 hours by myself. I look so pathetic. Like, what's the matter, dude? Your band won't come and sit with you, because they don't come walk in and go, "Hey, man, how you doing?" I'm going, "Okay."
Right.
What's down? What?
Where were they?
They're out being big rock stars at the show. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, Mark had to play. He played a tune with Bret Michaels. He did Nothing But a Good Time.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So I said, I forget what I said to him. I said, so you learned it yet? Because he was listening on his phone, and he goes, no. I said, it's just deuce. Just listen. It is. Right. And but yeah, he got up there and tore it up. It's so funny because I've noticed that with Cold Sweat, Mark had his career up to Cold Sweat. So he had 4 records with Keel.
Right.
My career starts after Cold Sweat.
Right.
4 albums of Suck and Kick. Right. So, and it's kind of the worlds don't meet, because everyone knows Mark because it's that world. Right. And they kind of look at me and go, hey, you look for it. Oh, holy shit. What? Huh? Like, yeah. This is where I started. They're like, holy shit. Because I saw Minichetti. When I saw Minichetti, he said, what are you doing here? I said, playing a Cold Sweat. He goes, get out, really? I was like, yeah. Because we had Kevin B, which I reminded him of a bunch of stuff. And he's like, oh my God, yes. Now I remember.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny. And it doesn't bother me at all. I think it's fun to watch someone's face kind of when it clicks. Mark Weiss, the photographer, did that. I came walking up to so let's go and let's do the photos. And he goes, what are you doing here? Because Jason was there with Jeff. And they're doing the Beeler Soto thing, or Soto Beeler. I forget. It's like Kramer versus Kramer. I don't know who's next year.
Yeah.
And he must have thought I was with him.
Right.
Because Mark was our kind of official photographer.
No, okay.
And I was like, no, no. He's like, oh my God, I forgot you were in Ferrari's band. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I started. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, very cool. All right, so we'll be back next time with with another plus one.
We will.
You get to put on.
Yeah, yeah. Be disguise myself.
Yes.
By the way, the hat. I think my hat was the best decision I made of the entire weekend.
Really?
Yes, I think in the next gig it has its own rider because, I mean, I had so many people complimenting me on this hat. You know,
right.
People from the rental shuttle to to other bands. I'm like, what? I bought it to cover up the scars on my head.
Right.
Keep people from poking at it.
Right.
I just didn't want to look like a dork. So yeah. So the pork pie hat did well. That and the bass. That bass. That was a piece. Fun part about that thing was I walked up and plugged it in because I just go bass, chord, or wireless amp. Go. I don't like on bass. I just don't like much other junk on it. Right. And I plugged it in for the first time out of a big amp, and I hit the E string and the A string, and Gammons goes, "Hey, whoa, like what's that?" And I was like, "Not bad, huh?" He goes, "That sounds fucking awesome." I was like, "Yep." And someone else, I forget who, someone of the other bands, like, "Dude, what do you got in that bass?" I was like, "Stock, right off the shelf." Like, get out. Nope. 10-band EQ. Everybody's got it.
Yep.
Nice. Mine always sounds like me.
Yep.
But yeah, so we gotta do another one here. Get the plus one rocking and rolling.
Right. We'll do it. But this was great because, like I said, I mean, it's a lot of myth is part of rock and roll shows, and we kind of today, so that's kind of cool.
It's a lot more work than people realize. I mean, and my wife didn't go. I mean, the other 4 girls and girlfriends and wives went. They'd never been to what is the work as opposed to the work of a one-off or a show as opposed to a cruise or a festival where you go and you hang for a couple of days.
Right.
So Lisa was like, you know what? I'll be at home on this one. I had surgery. I'm not going. Forget that. And she was right, thankfully, because I went out and I was kind of assistant tour manager, like I was telling you earlier, with going to the venue, going to the hotel, making sure we had this, making sure we have that. And that's no fun when you have someone texting, going, "Where are you?"
Right.
And then you forget something crucial. You're like, "It's 3:00 and I'm still at the hotel." And you're like, "Oh fuck, she just missed the gig." One of those things.
Right.
So yeah, that's it's always, people are always so surprised at how much work it is. I had an old girlfriend who came with us to a rehearsal, and this is in Cold Sweat, so this is when we were pro. And we were there for 3-4 hours and working, whatever. And I'll never forget this. And we go out of there and we're driving home. She's like, "Good God." I said, "What?" She said, "You guys went over that chorus for an hour and a half." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I thought you guys came in and played everything once and left."
No.
Oh, no. There's a reason we are as good as we are, or we were able to get signed. And any band goes through that. There's a reason they can.
Yeah.
I got a lesson that the other day. I was up, the name dropping time. I was up listening to Shinedown work on some new tunes. They were working on the drums. So Barry Kirch was in. I got to see some tracking, which was the first time I've seen it. And the level of precision and execution and what I call, or what we all call, the microscope that they put themselves under. It's just working on these drum parts. Okay, can we do that again? Can we do this? Can we do that? Can we? And Barry's like, yep. So the real pros are able to point out, and the other advantage of being the pros are the ones who can follow it. Then, like they see it too.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and they go over those songs, how many times until they're done, and that's when they're done.
Right.
When he was working on Cut the Cord, I kept coming down every day. I had a little recording suite up on the second floor at Ocean, and I'd come downstairs and he'd say, "Still working on it. What do you think?" And I'd listen. Cool. And he'd say, "Is it done?" Because I would always say, "You stop. You're gonna kill this thing. You're beating a dead horse."
Right.
And he said, "Is it done?" And I said, "No. You can still do some stuff to it." And I didn't know what it was, needed this or needed that.
Right.
But he kept at it for like 3-4 days, and then it became what it is. I mean, and it goes to number one, and that's their level. I mean, when you're that band and you're at that level, you hope some of it falls off onto you, and you're able to use it.
Right. Yeah. The simile that I can use for that is I was speaking with a golf pro, and we were out on the driving range hitting golf balls, and he said, "Do you know what the difference is between an amateur and a professional, and not that I get paid? It's
Right.
is that the amateur will hit balls on the range until they get it right. The pro will hit balls on the range until they can't get it wrong."
That's a really good way of looking at it. Yeah.
And that's the way it's got to be for musicians too.
Oh yeah.
You do it until you can't get it wrong.
Yeah. And that's rehearsal. And that's a cold sweat. The reason we were so good is we're flipping on all those muscle memory switches that we played. Anthony and I used to go in every day when we were on the quest for Roy Cathy. So you're talking 2-3 months, 4 months maybe, and we would just play. Didn't matter what we were playing. Alice Cooper, Rush, Beatles, Zeppelin, Kiss. Let's just play. So by the time anything came across our plate, we knew what we wanted. We knew what to do.
Right.
And then the band would get in and just go over it and over and over. And the advantage of Roy Cathy was he was coming from a cover band of singing 3-4 hours a night, so he knew you had to do that. Right. So he was just he wasn't quite up to the pro level yet.
Yeah.
So, but he caught on quick. Yep. But yeah, you're right. So they can't get it wrong. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Until we speak again next time, I'm Jack Trash.
I'm Chris McLernon.
Live your life to 10+1.
That's right. We'll see. We'll call.